שמע שיר חדש
Okay, tonight we are going to discuss very, very interesting shilas about Hilchos Tzitzis. The reason why it's so interesting is because you may come home to your wardrobe and be like, the rabbi is ruining my wardrobe, right? But that's not what I'm here to do. We'll help you out. We'll sort it all out. But we need to discuss it. We need to discuss four corners. If you have a garment which is four corners, we need to discuss when are you potter, because I've found some cases which is, they talk about it in halacha. Why aren't you mechuyev to put on tzitzis? It's got four corners. You should put on tzitzis. So we need to discuss the cases very carefully, and we need to brainstorm together and see what we come up with. So in the last share we discussed the fabric of your tzitzis. What type of fabric does it have to be? We said it's machlekes rishonim. Some rishonim say it's only from wool and linen, which is going to be a mitzvah d'oraisa, mitzvah from the Torah. And if it's made from anything else, that's the way we left off. If it's made from anything else, it's going to be a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. But then we had other rishonim which said all types of garments, whether wool, whether linen, whether silk, whether you name it, cotton, all of it is going to be a mitzvah d'oraisa. That's how we left off last time. And I told you to remember, we're going to talk about it next week. And that is all is fine and dandy until we see this Gemara in source number 1, where it begins to get a little bit complicated. Let's have a look at it. Right at the end of the line, in very, very big writing in source number 1. V'amar Rava. Rava says, Homilsa Omri v'itma b'amar Rava. This memra, this teaching was said, and v'itma b'amar Rava in Eretz Yisrael, they learned it mishmei de Reb Zera kavasi, in the name of the Reb Zera, and they said it like this. He shall beged. If you have a four-cornered garment of beged, so that means kosher fabric. So let's call it wool. You have a fabric of wool. He shall beged. But the corners are made of leather. Okay? So we're going to need to get the picture in our head. We have a, overall tzitzis, so it's coming over here, it's come at the back. And just by the corner, just that little square by the corner, is leather. You cut out the wool garment and you put there leather. So the Gemara wants to know if you're mechuyev to wear tzitzis. Now again, let's think about it. Are you mechuyev to wear tzitzis? We discussed that any type of garment has a chiyuv tzitzis. And now the Gemara is discussing if you put in leather. What's leather? You see from this Gemara that leather is potter from tzitzis. Someone has it's not so common, but a leather jacket, that's decently common. If it has four corners, potter. We need to discuss why. Let's first see the Gemara properly inside, and then we're going to discuss why is leather potter if all other garments you're obligated to put on tzitzis. Let's have a look. He shall beged if the main garment is made of fabric, so let's call it wool. But the corners are made of leather, chayeves. Then you're chayev, you're obligated to put on tzitzis. He shall oir. What happens if the main part of the beged, the main thing that goes over you, is made of leather? Shall beged, but the corners are made of beged, so kosher fabric for tzitzis. Let's call it wool. Haha, that's the opposite case. So it comes out most of it is made of leather. Says the Gemara, Patura, you're a potter from tzitzis. If the beged is made of leather and only the corner is made of wool, you're potter from tzitzis. Says the Gemara, my timer, why? Ika beged be'inon. We need the main beged. That's what we need. It's not enough to only have a little square of wool. You need more than that in order to be obligated in tzitzis. Okay. Now, one thing which is very, very glaringly obvious and clear is that leather is potter from tzitzis. And we need to ask why. Why is leather potter from tzitzis? Why is it different from cotton, from wool? No? What did the Talmudic Chacham say? Lawrence?
I was thinking, is it got any link to like Yom Kippur when we don't wear leather?
Something to do with the fact that it comes from an animal that was either killed or died, as opposed to the others, which were wool is short in the back of a sheep.
Mm-hmm.
The other fabrics are.
So let's go one by one. Is it to do with leather on Yom Kippur? I think it's not, because leather on Yom Kippur is to do with comfort, comfortable shoes. But I hear that. And again, and David, right? You want to say that maybe there it comes from an animal. It comes from an animal. So why should it be different if it comes from an animal? Most of the things coming from an animal. You've got the other David against you. David against David. Tefillin. We wear tefillin.
So what about the what do you call it? The tzaras, the gadi? Isn't there like a definition of what a beggar is based on? Is or included or not? And
get involved. Rabbi Feinstein. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein from America, originally from Russia, as we know. He speaks about this, and he says that the definition of a beged, of a cloth, is discussed a lot in Taharas. That's where it's discussed what becomes Tommy. It needs to be a beged in order to be Makabel Tumah. So we need to know a keli. Only a keli can become Tommy, right? So let's say if something's cracked or broken, you want to know the halacha about that. You look into Taharas. A lot of halachas of working out what the halacha is when it comes to keli, a beged, a house, all these things. You look there. It says Rabbi Moshe Feinstein that in Taharas, leather is not considered a beged. What is considered a beged? Something which is made from shesi ve'erev. Shesi ve'erev means a weave. What's that?
Warp and weft.
Warp and weft.
Warp and weft.
This is a new one for me. Warp and weft. Weft. Okay. Inside, a weave. A weave. That is what a beged is. So leather, what is it? They take it off an animal, you skin it, you do all sorts of interesting things to it, and then you're left with good leather. That is not considered a beged. You could put it around you. You could put anything around you. You can walk up to the curtain and put it around you as well. It doesn't mean it's a beged, right? Leather is not a garment. You can use it as a garment, but in halacha, it doesn't have the halacha of a beged. What does? Something which is a warp and weft. I'm practicing my new word. Something that's woven. Something that's woven. Okay.
So what about synthetic fibers?
Oh, we're getting there. Techlis, rega. Says Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, what happens? I'm obsessed with leather, and I want my tzitzit to be made of leather. I'm really, really. This is my thing. So what do? I go to a factory and I say, do me a favor, slice it really, really thin, and then I'm gonna weave it. What does Talmudic Chacham here think? Could you do such a thing? We said that leather. No, why not? But what's the reason? The reason is because it has to be woven. So what happens if I chop up? I'm chopping up the leather, the teeny little things. Right, all of your garments is made up of teeny little fibers put together. So what happens if I do that to the leather? I'm manipulating the system. Going behind. What do you think, Rabbi? The cross says it's fine.
I don't know about leather. He says as long as it's woven.
So the shaila is, could you do it to leather? Rabbi Moshe Feinstein says nope. Why? He brings the Mefarshim there in Tumah Taharas, which discuss it, and they say even if you're going to weave it, it's not considered beged. Why? Because it's not made for that. It's not made for that. If you manipulate, I don't know, let's see, you take wood and you make it really thin, and that's not baguette. You're doing. I don't know. You can't. We need a good example for this. We need a good example. Don't have any good examples coming to me. All right. It's really tachlis of.
So if you made a baguette out of the bamboo mechisa.
Right. You make a baguette out of bamboo mechitza. I know that. Right. It's not a baguette. It's not a baguette. Leather is something. Yeah. We need to understand. We need to understand a bit better why leather. Just because it's not shesi ve'er, seems to me that is the way that. What's that? No, because it's not a baguette.
I think Rabbi Moshe is also being kind of practical. If it's not its way, it just cannot fit into the box.
Okay, so nowadays I'm sure you can get some guy who can really cut it thin.
It's not its way.
It's not its weight. That's what Moshe is saying. Right. Now we get down to synthetic. Polyester. What else? Nylon. They call it nylon here? Right. Are you mechuyev in tzitzis with plastic? Plastic. Now it's very, very common in stores to buy things from polyester. It's much cheaper. It's very bad to wear in Israel, of course, because it's very hot here. But, in England, you can get away with it. Do you need to put tzitzis on a polyester baguette? What do the olim think? No?
I guess the question is actually yes, because I've got this threshold thing, which I think is...
It's not. I think, okay. Let's keep your tzitzis in. Right? If you have shyness about your tzitzis, keep your tzitzis in. Well, no, if it's got good hechsher, fine, don't worry. Yeah, I doubt it's plastic. I very, very doubt it's plastic. And if it is, it's probably mixed, because you can have roiv. If you have roiv from a kosher fabric, then you're okay. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Anyway, Rav Moshe Feinstein, when he speaks about leather, he says, therefore, plastic is potter from tzitzis. Oh, same svara, Zagreb David. It's not made for it. Plastic is not created for garments. So if somebody came up and had this great idea to make garments out of plastic, he's a genius. He probably made a lot of money out of it. But that's not what it's made for. That's not what it's made for. Take wool, take cotton, take linen, and many, many other fabrics which we know, silk. That's what it's made for. It's got a weave, it's got a derech, this is how we've had it always. Plastic is not made for that.
No, but polyester and nylon are made for...
Right, but are we manipulating a material to be something else which works out very practical? Or is that what it's created for? Wool is created to give warmth, to create a baguette. Or we're manipulating it. Rav Moshe Feinstein holds we're manipulating it. That's not what it's made for. Although, when I was learning the Rav Moshe, I thought, I don't get it. A little bit what you're bothered by is that when they create the plastic, it's not like leather, that they have this big piece of leather and then they cut it short. It's actually made, it's creation from, I think it's crude oil they make it from, is they make it into thin strings. That's its creation. It was never a big piece of plastic and then cut up.
I remember we created nylon threads in chemistry lessons in the lab.
Right, there you go. So it's originally made as threads. So how can Rav Moshe say you're manipulating it? If it's first created, it wasn't a big piece of plastic. It was created as thing.
Could Rav Moshe have changed his mind, or let's say like this, by timers, for example. When timers first came out, he says, it's so unusual. People don't have it. And someone walks by your house on Shabbat, and they see lights going on and off. So he ushered it until it became more popular. Could it be that in his day it was unusual, and he might have said something unusual, it might be okay, or is there...
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about it. I don't know the history. When did polyester really hit the shelves? I don't know. It's hard to know.
Nylon for clothing, I think, during World War II.
Right, so that means in Ramosha's days it was pretty recent.
When nylon stockings and so on.
Right.
That's popular, not well.
Right. Nowadays, you have to check the label if you want something that's not polyester. Right? You really have to check around. You have to go to a fancy store to get something that's, got no plastic in it. Okay. Rabbi Moshe says, he actually asked this question. He said, even though they originally made as a thread, he said, it doesn't make a difference. They're manipulating it. That's not what it's made for. It's not made as a garment. Lemaisa, there are a lot of poskim who argue, and they say plastic is mechuyev because that's what it's made for. They made it as a thread. What do you want? If that's what they created it for, that's what they created it for. And it might be like Rabbi Poston, who says that it was many years later, the poskim who argue. So lemaisa, plastic, it's machlokas. So of course, if you want to be yotza tzitzis in the best way, you should try and get something which is made of cotton, wool, weaved, something weaved. Okay, that's the little topic of plastic. Better not. Okay. Now we have a very, very interesting shaila, and it goes like this. I believe today we have more than usual English people. I brought with my M&S raincoat. I have to get it out from storage because there's no rain at this time of year. So if you look at this coat here, it's I like this coat. It's got a corner here, right? The front has got a corner here. It's got a corner on this side at the bottom. It's not rounded. It's got a corner here. Now the back of the coat, I'll hold it up for you guys. The back of the coat, you got this little slit here. See it? One here, one here. 4 corners. 4 corners. Your classic, fancy Shabbos coat, a nice business coat, will have a sharp edge at the back, at the front, sharp edge at the other front, and at the back it's got a slit. 4 corners. And years and years and years ago, the Beit Yosef asked this question. And the Ramah asked this question. And actually, this is way before. This is the Rishonim. It's even before the Beit Yosef. Why aren't you mechuyev to put on tzitzis onto a coat? This is the $1 million question. Let's have a look at source number 2. This is Hagas Maiminis. It's a source it's a pirish on the Rambam. There's a little ois, dalad, on the first line, and then there's a little gimel in Rashi writing. Let's read it. Nishal l'Rabbeinu Simcha. It was asked to Rabbeinu Simcha. Can I read the next word for me?
Akuta.
Kuta. I asked the guy next, what is a kuta? He's like, a coat. Al kuta, a coat. Apparently languages didn't really evolve so much. Kuta was a coat. Yeah, it was a coat. They asked Rabbeinu Simcha about a coat. Bas arba knafayim, which has 4 corners. Amai einam is chayev b'tzitzis. Why isn't it mechuyev in tzitzis? Your classic coat for years and years and years. This is about, 900 years ago? Why is it not mechuyev in tzitzis? Umayri Oma. And my Rebbe said, Mishum diktani be'perikat chelis. We learned in Perikat Chelis, you might recognize the Gemara he quotes. He shall oir, if it's made of leather, uchnofel shall beged. But the corners are made of beged. That means the whole thing is leather. You cut off the corners and you stick on wool garment there. The Gemara says patura, you're potter. He shall beg it, but if the main thing is a beged or confessional and just the corners are chayeves betzitzis. Says Rabbeinu Simcha like this. Alma, you see from here. Deloy ozlinon elabasa haguf. You only go after the guf. That means after the main thing. Because if the whole thing is leather and only the corner is wool, then you say a leather, potter. So you see, you go after most of it. Most of it is leather, so you're potter. Says Rabbeinu Simcha. Hochinami, here as well. Kuta shalonu, our coats. Kivan de gufa sosum. Since the main part of it is sosum, is not open. Now, if you look at my coat, the front shoe This one, it's open, right? Because this is the front of the coat. This side is open. And the back here, what is this? 20 maybe 30 centimeters. It's closed along here. Says Rabbeinu Simcha, it has to be mostly open. In order to call it a corner, it has to be mostly open. The same way leather has to be the main beged. It has to be mostly of something which is kosher, not leather. So too, this coat and any other coat, it has to be that the slit. If the slit is just a little slit, like most coats are, then you're fine, because the slit has to go along most of the coat.
It's interesting. Last week I went to a talk given by Rabbi Aryeh Grossnass, one of the leading kippah poskim. He was wearing a jacket with slits on each side, going almost up to his armpits, and he had tzitzit on the corners.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
What fabric is it?
I guess it was wool or probably cotton wool.
See, people are going to be walking out this shit and, going up to people, excuse me, what's your tzitzit made of? Sorry, I'm not joking, I was just now somewhere.
I did.
You did? Well, I saw someone today with a black pair of tzitzit. Yeah, I don't know how simple it is. We're going to get there. Go on. No, it could be the beggar than the lechatchil. I think it's going to be white. Don't quote me because I need to check it.
The concept that it can be the same color as the corner or of the.
So the corner was also black. Yeah. Anyway, look, we're going to walk out of this shit very critical of people's tzitzis. Come here, what have you got there? There's another guy. Oh, we're getting there. Today I saw a guy in shul. I was going to give him a kiss. I was so excited. Couldn't believe it. I'll tell you in a minute. We're nearly there. Says Rabbeinu Simcha, you know what's going on over here? A coat, it doesn't go all the way through. If it goes all the way through, then you're mechuyev in tzitzis. It doesn't go all the way through, you're fine. Why? Because the slit has to go all the way up. Or majority. Half and half. Then it says in the Shulchan Aruch, you should put on tzitzis, but don't use it on Shabbos. If you have posel tzitzis, you're not meant to go out with it on Shabbos because it's hitzah. It's carrying. Because there's no use for the garment. No, if you have an erev, it's fine. So, if you're walking into a Shus Rabbim where there's no erev, so then you shouldn't go out with this pair because it's a suffix if you're mechuyev. Anyway, that is pshat in the coat. This is what Rabbeinu Simcha says. Okay. Now, I saw today a guy in shul. People do this. So he had a t-shirt. That's great. And then at the bottom of his t-shirt, he had tzitzis. That means it was slit. But again, we've just learned in Rabbeinu Simcha that you can't have a slit. I mean, you can't have it if it's mostly closed. Right? And this was his t-shirt. There's nothing underneath it, right? Huh? Tzitzit. Correct. But Rega, we just learned that it has to be open, rove of the way. Genius. I don't know who did it, and I don't know if it's okay. I didn't ask him. What they did was, it was slit all the way up to here, all the way up to his armpits, and then it had, what's these things that you click it closed? Buttons or something, clicks. So really, it's open, but they just clipped it closed, so then you have your tzitzis, because it's mostly open, but he closed it. With me? What?
It's only a
temporary close. Yeah, look, you have to ask your Rav if it's good enough.
Rabbi told you about his jacket.
The classic rabbi coat, frack, kapota. Chabadskes always wear kapota.
It was an ordinary jacket. It wasn't a frack. It's an ordinary length jacket.
No, I'm talking about the long ones.
Like yours, yeah.
No, I'm talking about the long ones.
Oh, you're talking about a frack.
Yeah, a frack.
It's not open majority.
No?
Or one corner behind.
Ken, let's have a look at the Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah talks about a frack. He says apparently it was new in those days. Go into source number 3. And now it is 5 lines up from the bottom. It's in the middle of the line. It says uvefrakt b'yomenu. b'yomenu, uvefrat b'yomenu. He says, especially in our days, ba'osin habagodim, in those clothes shenohagu mechodesh, which they started recently, mechodesh, new, la'asosim pesuach me'achareim, they make it open at the back, in brackets, v'hu habeged hanikra kapota. It's the beged which is called a kapota. He says lots of times it's rubai pesuach. Lafit divrei darke Moshe kunta darke Moshe chayiv hu betzitzis. It's mechuyev betzitzis. Why? Shay shtei knafos shtei kamfos knafos. Shela achro mechavanus keneged shtei knafos shelafanov. Why? Because you have at the front, like what you have your coat. You have two corners over there, and at the back of the kapata, the back of the frag, you have another two corners. He says, it's mechuyev and tzitzis. So what do you do if it's majority open? He says, a lot of them are majority open, or borderline. Al-Kain, therefore, haroitze lifter atzmei, someone who wants to patter himself, he wants to get himself out of this problem. Mechuyev lasis sham, he's mechuyev to make their al-kaponim keren achas, one corner, me'oisin arba knafos, agula v'tipot. He should make one of those corners round. If you round one of the corners, you're fine. Next time you walk past a rabbi and he's wearing a frak, you will see that one of them is round.
You know which corners usually the one that you do?
It's definitely the one on the back. I think it's the left one at the back. But you know what? It depends on the seamstress. I don't know. Depends what she has for breakfast that day.
Let me ask you a philosophical question. Why don't we try to be? We would call it more colorful, but why not walk around with all sorts of colors that have tzitzis on it?
Meaning, why limit it?
Yeah. Why not be all tzitzis?
Scheinberg used to wear 80 pieces.
There you go. Reb Scheinberg wore 80.
The problem is the tzitzis are not allowed to drag on the ground. So these jackets, the way they're made, if you have tzitzis on them, the likelihood of them dragging on the ground is high.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people now have short tzitzis here in Arizona.
What?
I see a lot of people with short tzitzis.
They have short ones.
Short tzitzis. I mean, they keep their tzitzis on the
They
short
do,
side.
believe me, they're wearing short tzitzis underneath their
Shirts.
No, the tzitzis, the length of the strings are short.
Ah.
The red
Okay. Okay. Now, this is a very, very common practice. In fact, when I was preparing this share, my friend said that it was his first day in yeshiva. He was 15 years old, he went to yeshiva, and he had a cardigan. What do you call it in America?
Sweater.
But a sweater with a zip going down, like you're wearing. Like that, exactly. What's it called? You call it a sweater? Sweater with a zip?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how many corners does it have? Don't worry, we're going to get you out of the mess. Don't worry, okay? How many corners does it have?
Depends what you're counting, because you might have up here.
Where's it?
Down below, and maybe two up here.
Right, so look at it. It's got two up here, one over there, one on the other side, and another two at the bottom. So again, this was discussed years and years and years ago because it was very common to wear this. Apparently in those days they used to wear it like on top of all the clothes. They have all the clothes already, and it was like a chosh of a thing to wear. It was a thing for covered. Like a nice, respectable garment. Waist. It's something similar to that. Right. So the Beis Yosef says, why on earth is it not mechuyev and tzitzis? $1 million question. The second $1 million question today. Why? What do you think, Yehuda?
What?
If you have what he's wearing, sweatshirt, so that means you have a zipper which goes up and down. How many corners does this garment have? Why? Where?
I don't know, by the bottom.
By the bottom. What about the top?
There's 2 corners. 2 more.
2 more.
It's 4 corners.
2 plus 2?
Is it mechuyev?
Why hasn't he got tzitzis on his sweatshirt?
According to that regular shirt, it's the same thing.
Which one?
Regular shirt.
Oh, I was waiting for someone to say this. Take your shirt up the collar. You got a corner here, and then you got 2 corners at the bottom. Somebody said this to me. It's true. Look, I didn't have enough time to go over this properly, but it seems to be that this is an extra thing on top of your garment. It's not exactly opposite. I don't have a good enough answer for you.
The question is,
Go on.
when you say that the shirt is an added thing, you're already talking about a specific time of type of shirt, probably from a specific time period.
Even this one. Is this part of the same garment, or is this like a collar, something extra to the garment? I don't have a good answer for you. They speak about it. I'm not clear on it. Could be. But then again, everyone's walking around with shirts and there's no tzitzis dangling off them. So we need to work out why. That's why we're here. But that's a good question. Why a collar is not mechuyev in tzitzis is a $2 million question. But let's deal with the $1 million question. A cardigan, a sweatshirt which has a zipper, it's got 4 corners. Why don't we put tzitzis on it? So the Beis Yosef gives 2 reasons. His first reason is, go to source number 4b. And it's in the wide lines. 4b, it's in the wide lines. It's 2 lines into the wide lines. The linira, in the middle of the room. Earlier on, he actually says that he's seen, V'shamati, I'm going to read it out from before. V'shamati, he's heard. Beis Yosef says, I heard. Shektsas miziknei Sfard. Some of the Zakenim from Sfard, from Spain, hoya oisim b'shtei kronos agulim. They've made 2 of the corners round. They were so bothered by this problem, they actually rounded their sweatshirts to get out this problem. If it's not square, they're not considered corners. It's an absolute tamer. It's another word for saying $1 million question. It's a pliya atzuma. It's unbelievable. Everyone in the world is wearing it, but kronos meravois with the square ones. I've never seen anyone complain about this or make a balagan about it. So even though there's some people in Sfad, he's not happy with it. V'li nira, 2 lines into the wide lines. V'li nira shatam shloi nagu lahatal behem tzitzis. The reason why we don't put tzitzis on it, mishum deloi mikri ksus. It's not considered a garment. Ela habal hagen ala adam mipnei achayim b'hakor. A garment is only considered something which has come to protect you from either heat or from cold. And he brings a pasuk for it, and he carries on, V'haglima, and this coat, ein loif shenoisol lahagen, they do not wear it to protect them, elam mipnei hakavod, only for honor. It used to be like a special, respectful garment.
I think there's a jalabiyah.
I don't know what that is.
Glima is a robe.
Right.
It's a robe, but I think one that has the hood over it, like the Moroccan Jews. Moroccan Sadiki.
Right. So you said before that.
What the Spartan chief rabbi wears.
Mm-hmm. It's actually round at the top. Those ones, right? Yeah. Look at Rabbi Aryeh Grossnass, it's round. Okay. But he's talking about a square one. Right. So he says it's not really to protect you from the heat or the cold. So it's not called a garment.
It's like for status.
Yeah. It's status, it's for honor, like that.
About certain things, for Shabbat, you're not supposed to carry outside with the there, but if it's a, brooch for a woman, or perhaps medals, like these army guys.
Yes.
The sword that has nice handle, it's an ornament. These things are
unpermitted. Yeah. So he says a very, very interesting point, that if something is not really there to keep you warm or to cool you down, to shield you from the sun, that's not called a garment. And therefore it's not mechuyev in tzitzis. Now our sweatshirts, what are they for? They're not a thing of honor. Yeah, it's to keep you warm. Okay. So he says a different pshat. We're going to see if you can use the next one. Inami, I'll tell you a different reason why they're potter. It's a little bit further along. Let's say we tell this guy to put on tzitzis. Hatachtoinim bedrishas regalim. The whole time, it seems to be it was a long robe, as you said, and the tzitzis will be dragging along the floor, and the whole time he's going to have to doing his tzitzis every week. He's going to have to get a new pair of tzitzis because it's dragging along the floor and it's going to become possible. And he says, the Torah wouldn't be mechayiv you to put on tzitzis for such a thing.
The Torah itself would.
Well, the Torah won't, yeah.
Who says this?
Beis Yosef, Shulchan Aruch. Okay, that's why he says. The Ramah in Darkei Moshe, he says mapiton. He asks questions on both of them. He says, do you think just because of COVID you don't wear tzitzis? Of course you do. He doesn't like both of the reasons. No, it's a big point. Some things people only wear for honor. One thing I can think of is, let's say, I know like in British Parliament, they wear some funny clothes. Can't remember exactly what, let's say a judge, right? They wear like a weird robe or something. It's not because he wants to wear it, it's because he wants to be a judge. Is that called a cloth?
It's a work clothes. It's work clothes.
Correct, but what is a cloth? A cloth is to keep you warm, or a cloth is something of honor? It's not the Beis Yosef. A cloth is something which is there to serve you, to clothe you, to keep you warm, or to something that covers you, but that you can be, what's it called? It can be breathable if it's hot outside. If it's something that you're just putting on as to claim your status, to remind people you're the judge, or if you look at what they wear, and the kings and queens, presidents don't really do it so much, right? And they have like a special robe. Is that clothing? Is that clothing that's mechuyev and tzitzis, or is it just like a piece of honor? So it's almost like a statement. So Beis Yosef says you're part of such thing. As far as I remember, the Darkei says you're chayev.
That includes capes?
Why are you wearing a cape?
It's clasped on the shoulders and it flows back.
Right, so again, are you wearing it because you're cold? Why do people wear capes? Because they're prince or princess. So no. According to Beis Yosef, you'd be potter. According to the Darkei I think you'd be chayev.
That's what we're going to wear, by the way, in the future. Shvatim, houses, and perils, and everything. We'll go back to it, sure.
Okay.
But don't we wear our talis gadol like a cape in a certain way?
That is the Darkei Moshe's question. The Darkei Moshe says, don't tell me when we wear something for covered and not to keep us warm, don't tell me that that's part of tzitzis. He says, because that's what we do every morning. And Shkoch for reminding me. I don't have it written down here. Darkei Moshe says, how can the Beis Yosef be right? That the reason why you're potter in this interesting garment, because it's only made for honor and it's not made to keep you warm. I don't understand. Every time we wear a talis gadol in Shachris, why are you wearing the talis gadol? Because you're cold? You're not. How many people fling it off the head? It's like, whoa, it's so hot in davening, you know what I mean? You barely put it over your head for one or two parts of it. Says the Darkei Moshe, it can't be that it's true that only when it's for honor. Okay, Nabuch, I want you to walk out feeling confident wearing your sweatshirt.
I will say, maybe, because a Jew who's wearing their garment, not only is it of honor, but it becomes our clothing. It's a combination. It's not just honorable. We are princes and princesses wearing capes, but that's who we are.
Interesting. You're saying, very nice, it's for covered, but it's more than that. Because we're Yidden, and because that's how we go. That's
the outcome.
But that's what the Beis Yosef Taina is. But that's the Beis Yosef Taina. That if it's as a statement, if it's you're not wearing it because you're hot or cold. So you're wearing it for a different reason. If it's for a different reason, Beis Yosef said that's not a garment. I need to think about it.
Cold and warm easily. The other way around it. I meant to say that they're usually cold or whatever it is. So a lot of them, they're looking forward to the warm towels.
I hear, but that's not the reason they're wearing it. Right. Okay. Lamaisa, the Darkei Moshe says a different reason. The Ramah says a different reason because tzitzis lechatchila should be 2 at the front and 2 at the back, and this sweatshirt they're both at the front. Okay, so there's definitely who to rely on, that you don't need to put tzitzis on it. The Mishnah Berurah brings down the Magen Avraham. The Magen Avraham says, it's such an interesting conversation, and there's so many sfeikas about it. Maybe you should make one of the corners round. That's what the Magen Avraham says. A Yerushalayim should make one of the corners round. Now, again, we don't see anyone doing such a thing, right? These sweatshirts are flying off the shelves, and all types of Jews are buying them. So look, it definitely seems to be the minhag lahakal. As I said, I had a friend of mine who went to yeshiva, and the first day he was wearing a jumper like yours. One of the older Bachrim comes over to him, he says, it's a shayla of tzitzis. he said, I was so intimidated, the poor guy. Yeah, he's like, what should I do? So he said, go ask Rabbi Yaakov. Go ask one of the Magid Yeshirim. So off he went, and he looked at him, he tutted a bit, and he said, do you know what you can do? Do you want to get out of all problems? He said, give your garment to somebody else, and then borrow it. Because if the garment belongs to someone else, then you're only mechuyev and tzitzis after 30 days, and then it's only darabanan. So the whole thing is a shayla. If it's going to be a din darabanan, peseda.
In the neighborhoods, they don't wear sweatshirts not because it's not as pasnish, but because it's from tzitzis. That's why they don't wear sweatshirt. That's what you're telling me.
Maybe.
Or is it only because it's not pasnish for a bacher?
No, it's sweatshirts. People wear sweatshirts.
Not neighborhoods.
Where? Which neighborhoods? No, they do. In the summer, in the winter, for sure. Fanny, I'll meet you there. I'll show you. So that is a little bit of exploration. There's many more shaylas, which hopefully we'll get to not next week, the week after, because it's going to be shuas. Scarf. It's got 4 corners. Right. Why don't we put tzitzis on it? There's a few more shaylas which we need to discuss. A collar. I hope to get to the bottom of it.
I had a hippie scarf. Very interesting thing. It was shaped like a ches, like a wide ches, like that. And I wore it was like one of those like wraparounds, neck wraparound thingamajigs and over the thing. And I wore it because I found it. And then someone quickly told me that I can't put it on because it's mamash chayv.
So we're gonna have to see. And
there are young Israelis, the people may have Yeshuvnikis, people usually have Yeshuvim. They put on
tzitzis. Legends. Okay, fine. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in 2 weeks to carry on exploring more about tzitzis.
יש שם שיר חדש ובנחת